Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming this evening. Welcome to Crownsville. This is our fourth, or is this our fifth, of these 17 community envisioning sessions. We're very pleased that you chose to be here with us this evening. These are important processes. And in order to make sure we make them effectively through these processes, it's critically important that we have your participation. So thank you for your time and thank you for coming this evening. I'd like to introduce a few people. Joining us this evening, our Councilwoman, Lisa Rodney from District 6. We're privileged to have three of the members of our Citizens Advisory Committee here this evening: Elizabeth Rossford, Pat Hooker, and Alan Williams. Many people are required in order to make these events possible, and I'm going to be doing two sets of introductions to those people this evening. But before I move to the next piece of our agenda, I want to recognize Zach Reed and Ray Pringle. They don't have a speaking role, but without them, I would not have a speaking role. So you have them to blame, I guess.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm about to cover that, but thank you very much. That is an important question. And who am I? And that's been something I've been trying to figure out for the last 50-some years. My name is Phil Hager, and it's my honor to serve as the planning and zoning officer for this county. And I'm very happy to be here. I love my job, and I have a phenomenal staff, and I'm going to be introducing them in a few moments. As I began by noting, these plans are very, very difficult undertakings. And as I think about these things, I'm often reminded of many people's words, but tonight the words that sort of come to me are those from former President Kennedy, who said, I'm paraphrasing, we choose to do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And I think that applies very appropriately to what we're doing as far as developing these plans. These are very difficult. These are very important. And as difficult as those things are, it's helpful to have a professional staff, a receptive community, and at least as equally important, someone in the command chair who understands and supports what it is that we are trying to do. And I am pleased that we have just such an individual in our county executive, Stuart Pittman. Not only has he been focused on the idea of increasing transparency and placing greater emphasis on planning, but he puts his money where his mouth is and has been out on the road with us. He's been attending a lot of the meetings. He's been working with us on a daily basis. He thinks these things are important, and they are. And he supports us in attempting to try to make sure that we're delivering the right product to you, the people who are the consumer. He cannot be with us this evening, but he did think that it was important enough that we hear from him. So at this time, I'm going to present a video from our county executive, Mr. Stuart Pittman.
Welcome to the Planning Department's Small Area Visioning session. I'm sorry that I'm not there with you. I'm making it to most, but there were a few evenings that I just couldn't attend, so decided to do this little video so that I could be with you on the screen. I just want to thank you for coming, because this process that we're going through for Anne Arundel County is probably the most important thing that we do this year, maybe the most important thing that we do during my whole 4-year term. It's the 20-year General Development Plan. And a lot of you said during the campaign, and you said, you say all the time, that we want community-driven planning. And it was 17 years ago that we did the small area plans for Anne Arundel County. And you'll see, or you probably have already seen on the wall, the update that we asked for to let people know what proposals were implemented in the small area plans that your neighborhood did set 17 years ago, and to let you say whether or not you think those are still important. And I know it's difficult to read all that detail on the wall, but I hope you will. It's important to know how you feel about what was said in the past, and to look at whether or not those proposals have been implemented. I also want you to know that I've been listening to what you've got to say in neighborhoods, and the general development plan and this small area visioning is not all that we're doing. We're looking at legislation that's going to give communities, especially when they're organized in groups, a little bit more influence and power over the process of what gets built and what gets developed in communities. So we're working on the issue of standing so that organizations can actually intervene in the hearings and play a role. We're also working on software that will allow you to go on a map and click on a site, a development site, and be able to get all the information that you want about the application and what stage it's at and how to intervene. That's going to be very important. We're going to have training sessions around the county on how to use that software once it's ready to roll, and that can't come too soon. We're also looking at forest conservation bill that will help make it more difficult for developers to take down trees. We're looking at the adequate public facilities laws and whether we can strengthen those for school capacity and road capacity where development takes place. And we're looking at how we do modifications that the developers ask for when their project doesn't quite fit the rules. So we're strengthening the way that we handle modifications on environmental issues in particular. So all of that we want you involved in. It's in addition to the whole general development plan and small area planning process, but it's really designed to sharpen the tools that we have for citizens to be engaged in the process. I want you to also know that this is not your last crack at this, that this is just a visioning session so that we do one check-in in each of the neighborhoods, ask you also about the boundaries of the neighborhood and whether you think it's appropriate, but that after the general development plan is approved by the county council, we're going to start all over again and we're going to do full small area plans after the general development plan. So there will be general principles for the county that I hope you'll be thinking about that will be in the general development plan. One of the things that was very exciting for me was about 3 weeks ago, maybe by the time this video is done it'll be 4 weeks, but we did a kickoff meeting and we had about 2 weeks notice and 240 of you showed up, citizens, to talk about the general development plan. And we brought in an organization called Smart Growth America, and they did a briefing. It was past Governor Glenn Denning who started this, where people talked not just about what we don't want in our communities, which is what a lot of us focus on, but also a vision for how Anne Arundel County can still grow while preserving open space, preserving the natural beauty of the county, and making sure that we have the infrastructure we need before we build all that other stuff. So we obviously in the county have huge traffic problems because we failed to build the infrastructure. In fact, we failed to charge developers the impact fee that would have paid for the infrastructure, especially on the roads. And we're working on that. We're working on that in the budget, and we're going to create a new fund for infrastructure, and we have to catch up in Anne Arundel County. I know how frustrating it can be to be a citizen or a member of a community group that's trying to have influence over what goes on in your community, and I just want you to know that we understand that. We're doing everything that we can to make the process more user-friendly, and we don't want you to give up. You need to stay involved, so thank you. This is important. I hope you get engaged. I hope you have fun. I hope you all get along and all agree with each other, and I wish I was there to join you.
So, a couple more introductions and a couple other things to cover. If there's one thing that you could do for me, for the balance of this evening, and for the balance of the process as we develop this plan, is to take the words of the county executive to heart and to think about what he was talking about. And one of the things he was talking about this evening were the maps, the charts, the things that are on the wall here. If you haven't had a chance to look at those, I would encourage you to do that before you leave this evening. He was correct when he said this is not your last crack at this, and he was also correct when he says he wants you all to talk and to agree. So that means you don't have to agree. That's always hard to do, isn't it? But we do want to work on that. I want to remind everybody that tonight's proceedings are being videotaped, so that you'll be able to see yourself on television. What is it? How is this being broadcast? This is on YouTube, is it? Okay. We've been joined by Yanni Parker from the County Council Office. Hi, Yanni. And I wanted to take this time to introduce some staff, without whose help none of this could be possible. From our Office of Transportation, Tanya Osmond. From the Office of Planning and Zoning, Ruth Davis Rogers, Eric Hoffman, Patrick Hughes, Andrea Gerhard, Darian Beverunga, and Cindy Carrier. Now there's one other person I want to take a moment to introduce because she's a crucial member of our team and she's here tonight and it's her birthday. And she chose to spend her birthday tonight with us and I just embarrassed her horribly and she's not going to forgive me. Should we sing happy birthday to Jean Tinsley? No? Okay. Anyway, Jean Tinsley. So thank you all, and I would be greatly appreciative if you could recognize these members of the staff appropriately. We are now going to move into a different part of tonight's meeting, where we're going to have an opportunity to hear directly words from you. This is always a challenging way to do things. And we have what has turned out to be a very effective way to try to manage that process. Elizabeth Rossberg, who's the chair of our Citizens Advisory Committee, is going to be managing that process. She'll be sort of our facilitator for the discussion, and she has a microphone that she'll be using to help elicit thoughts and comments from you all. Without further ado, please recognize with me Elizabeth Rossberg.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Rossberg, as he said. This is a loud one. I have to get used to this. So, thank you all for coming out this evening. I want to personally say that because I know that it's difficult. You all have a lot of other things to do, and we appreciate that you all are coming out and making us aware of what your concerns are, which is what this is all about. So, there is a 21 committee member. It's called the Citizens Advisory Committee. Billy Molden is your representative. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here this evening, but please, my email is plan2040@aacounty.org. Again, plan2040@aacounty.org. So please email me, and I promise that you will get a response. So I appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. And as Mr. Hager said, this is not your last opportunity. We will have a draft of the general development plan that you will be able to participate and comment on as well. This is a year-long process. So we want to make sure that it's implemented. We want to make sure that all the time that we are spending, I'm going to 17 of these meetings in between probably in about 30 days. Along with all this other staff. We're all volunteers on the committee, so we really appreciate knowing what some of your issues are. So we're going to get started. First, and you all will have to raise your hands because I'm going to have to come to you. Name 5 different things that you like about living here in Crownsville. What are the top 5 reasons why you chose to live here? Oh, come on. Help me. This is bad. Okay, over here. Trees. Trees.
The river, the water.
Peaceful environment is what she said. Trees, okay?
It's a reasonable commute to Baltimore.
It's a reasonable commute, so you have access to other places to go. And Patrick is writing all these down. Yes, sir?
The appearance of being rural.
Appearance of being rural. Good, good. Well, thank you. Anybody else dying to add to that list?
The land.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The land.
The land. Sorry, now you can hear me say that. Sorry. The land. Having open space?
Yeah.
Open space. So, good. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And then the next question is, what have you seen change? And let's say in the last 5 years. We don't have to go back 15 years. But what are the top 5 things that you have seen changed in Crownsville in the last 5 years.
Okay, we're in Millersville, so we're at border of Crownsville.
We like our neighbors.
We don't leave our doors open at night or windows open at night because of traffic.
The noise, the traffic noise on 97. Increase in traffic. We can say increase in traffic for everything. Route 3, 32, and everything else. 97.
Rain runoff from the development group.
The stormwater runoff from development of Route 3.
Loss of trees and vegetation due to development.
Thank you.
Just the impact on the animals as a result of all of the above. A lot, you don't see some of the animals and, difficulty and so on.
More deer in my neighborhood eating my flowers because the forest.
Because the forests are gone, the deer now are appreciating your garden and all your hard work. So, yes, we know about that. Okay, anybody else that is not there? I'll get you in the back.
Some of the businesses have changed, some for the better, some for the worse. I know a lot of people are upset about losing corner stores. The Wawa's gone and the General Smart is gone. But then we've got Moore's, which is fantastic, and we've got Bean Rush Cafe. So changes, some better, some worse.
It all depends if you're a coffee drinker and everything else. So. But changes in the business community is what we need. So, okay, and then we're going to say what needs. Okay, let's go back. Top things that haven't been said.
Crowded schools.
Crowded schools.
Can I add one thought?
To this, yeah.
So, have a bike ride, and just the things you guys have been doing, maybe even more recently, but just the bike trail developments and the increase in those. So it's actually been good.
That is a good thing. We appreciate that. Yeah, we've been working hard on that. The county's been working very hard on increasing the bike trails.
You had a thing on traffic, which I think people were thinking immediately about Route 3, but what's happening in the secondary roads, which Millersville is like a secondary road, so is Seven Chapel, so is Waterbury. All of those roads are being impacted with increased traffic and speeding traffic. There, I run there, that's my bike.
So we're saying an increase in traffic on 97, 32, 3, but also on the secondary roads. Because of the increase on the major roads, everybody is getting off and going on to the secondary roads. So, okay. So then we slide down and say, what needs improvement? Now, before you raise your hand, you have to have a suggestion. You can't just say what the problem is. How would you suggest fixing the traffic problem?
I think we should definitely look into expanding the width of I-97.
And with that would be maybe some multimodal transportation, some HOV lanes, some bus lanes, not just widening it for more cars to come.
What I'm more interested in is that if there's an accident, there are other lanes that cars can go through, rather than being encouraged to go to the scenic routes, the small roads that exist around Crownsville for the locals.
As she's saying, because we are on tape, is that if there's an accident, that there's some alternatives other than just going onto the secondary roads and clogging the secondary roads when there's an accident on the major highways.
I think eliminating some of the traffic lights, which cause tremendous backups, and replacing them with roundabouts could help on General Highway.
Good idea. Good idea. Okay, yes, ma'am.
More bike trails.
Even more bike trails. And they are trying to do that and connecting all those bike trails. And that's the key. And then also being able to ride the buses and put the bikes on them so that you can have the bike when you get to work to get to that extra little step in case the the bus is not exactly at your workplace. Yes, sir?
Public transportation alternatives.
So, good one. Yes, sir?
Ownership of the Crownsville Hospital changing from state to county.
That is what you would like to see change. And obviously, that's a federal state issue, but you want it to become a county property, is what he's saying.
Somebody said about the bike path, increase bike paths. I'd like to see the bike paths figurally go over the main road so we can get to like Safeway, groceries. We pretty much cut off from groceries around here. So if I'm on a bike path, I don't want to use my car to get over.
Overpasses.
Overpasses should be considered.
The bicycle overpasses. And pedestrian, you're right, because it is both. Yes, ma'am?
Commercial creep into our rural areas. The zoning needs to be such that the commercial stays in the commercial areas and we preserve our RLD.
And has that been due to a zoning change, or how has it started to creep?
Spot zoning of RLD along General's Highway, for instance.
And that's something to watch, because that will be addressed in the GDP, but then right after the GDP is comprehensive rezoning. And so you need to be very active in watching all that to make sure that you know what is happening. Now, we did have a wonderful county councilman from the previous county council, and they did pass a bill with the county, so all of the comprehensive rezoning bills have to be announced. There has to be public notice on that. So, but you need to be part of that and keep track of that. You'll get a notice if you're within 300 feet, but if you're not within 300 feet, then you may not know. And that's another state charter change. We went from 175 feet to 300 feet. So we're trying to improve that notification. And I know the county executive is trying to do a lot more online as well. And so we're trying to do that as well. Yes, ma'am?
The rising level of the water, that there's more flooding in Annapolis and all along the Severn River too. They have to plant grass and raise whatever seawalls they have, because when it's high tide or storms, we get flooding.
The rise in the sea levels. So that is something that we need to see.
Yes, I wanted to comment on the changing intersections around the county, which are turning into wastelands of fast food, chain stores, you name it. Meanwhile, we have vacant ones that the same companies own and abandon, and there's no effort to make them dispose of the property or develop the property in a smart growth fashion.
So more revitalization and more incentives for them, instead of building new brick and mortar, say that 3 times, to revitalize those empty spaces.
The county makes it easier to build a new structure than to redevelop an old one, and that's a real problem. That's changing things. It's not a level playing field for anybody.
I'm gonna come around. Excuse me. I don't wanna jump over the chairs.
The county needs to work with the state, and the state delegates need to work harder to increase traffic flow or increase space on the state roads, like Route 3 and General's Highway, before they allow any zoning changes through the county.
And she's a good point. Hopefully you all know that if it is a numbered road, it is owned by the state. And so we definitely need to work very hard with our state representatives to try and get help with, from the State Highway Administration. And that is not, that's several levels of the state to do that as well. So
what I'd like to see improved is the runoff generated by development to not just, the stormwater management plans to not just include the highways and the commercial areas, but to come into the residential areas that are being affected
being addressed. There's lots of stormwater committees, both internally and externally, but it also has been noted. So the county is well aware that stormwater is a huge issue. So I'm going to go to the back first, and then I'll come back to you. So, yes, ma'am. What needs to be improved?
So I'm just wondering if we could possibly give Crownsville, and I may be out of line here even discussing it this way, but give Crownsville more autonomy so that they can determine how their local roads are used. For example, I've seen roads or signs that say no through traffic, local traffic only. If Crownsville is given their autonomy in order to determine to people who are commuting that they're going to have to find another solution, what this will do is this will change the whole momentum of what's been going on for years. People going from Annapolis to Baltimore take General's Highway. We need to change that drastically all at once.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to see something expand along the lines of the Watershed Stewards Academy. I think some of the output of that with both community awareness and involvement, so at a grassroots and volunteer manner, a lot of the things that we see up here are at least being addressed, so the payback on that I think is significant. So even things such as we were just talking about with the reclaiming of abandoned properties or some of the things with properties, trying to find ways that organizations like the Water Stewardship personnel, yes, could have either involvement in or influence in improving some of them.
That's a great idea. You all have a very active community here. You're very blessed and very lucky to be able to do that, because it does take a lot of volunteers to do things like that. And so we hope that everybody will stay actively involved.
Elizabeth, you may have mentioned this before, but I didn't really catch it as far as comprehensive rezoning is concerned. You mentioned that a lot of work has been done on comprehensive rezoning, but does it address the last minute amendments to rezoning bills?
That's what I was saying. You cannot have last minute. It has to be posted. You cannot do the rezoning the night of and approve it.
What they have been doing, you're saying in the future they cannot do it.
They cannot do that. That has been changed. That was the bill. I'd have to go back and get that information for you. I don't have that off the top of my head. But that was a bill that was passed. Let me explain a little bit about what they're talking about, because some of you may not be familiar with this. If somebody applies to have a property rezoned, and I'm just going to arbitrarily pick something, and they are currently R1, and they want to change and be R5, you apply through the county process. You apply to planning and zoning to change it, and it can only be done at a specific time, unless for unusual circumstances. And it is done during the comprehensive rezoning process. And Mr. Hager can help me if I get this wrong. But it goes through the county office, or the city can help me.
No, and it's two different rezoning processes, so.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is that if you want to rezone it, then it goes into a bill, which is one bill, and it covers most of the county at the time during this process, and it goes before the county council for approval. In the past, there have been some applications that have been put forth that night that the people in that particular district are not familiar with. And this particular bill has eliminated that opportunity. Did I get that right? Oh, thank you. Okay.
Have the lawyers looked at that? Because basically what you're doing is saying that you cannot amend a bill at the last minute, as opposed to any other non-rezoning bill. Normally you have a bill and a council may introduce an amendment to that bill.
We want to stay on topic, but let me take a moment to try to address your
We may
question.
have to do this another time, but I'm going to let Mr. Hager take it, and then we'll come back to.
There's something very important that needs to be, that you all need to be aware of as part of this entire process. There's a land use map that's developed as part of the development of the entire general development plan. That land use map that's developed identifies the future uses of property based upon expected demand, available resources, roadway capacities, availability of water and sewer, many other factors. Those decisions become part of the changes in land are going to be recommended by staff based upon changes that have occurred since the last comprehensive rezoning. They're going to be based upon requests of property owners. They're going to be based upon a number of different factors. And all of those changes that are requested or that are under consideration are going to be evaluated based upon all those criteria that we identified, plus some others. They're also going to be vetted before the Citizens Advisory Committee. In the end, there's going to be a balanced map that is put together that identifies the entire county. Comprehensive rezoning, like all implementation measures, must be consistent under state law with the general development plan. So any zoning changes that are proposed must be consistent with that land use map that is put together. So the idea of having a lot of last minute changes, it isn't going to happen simply because of those changes and the idea that consistency is required.
Thank you for explaining all. Much better than I did. So, okay, to get back on topic here. So, I think we have what needs to be improved. Do we have what needs to be improved?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need a thoughtful community, with community input process for the rollout of cellular communications towers and 5G.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. I think we have, oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to comment that Route 3 is on the verge of looking like Route 2. And if you drive on Route 3, the traffic goes from some areas from 3 lanes back to 4 lanes, swapping back and forth. Route 3 can't handle the traffic right now. If we continue to have, it appears to me, uncontrolled growth along that corridor in the middle of the median and on either side of it, this traffic is just going to get worse. So we either have to curtail the growth or remark or add more lanes to Route 3.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. So, I was going to say single words, but maybe you could expand a few. What would you like your community to look like? And we're going to say in 10 years. What would you think futuristic? Think outside the box. What would you like Crownsville to look like in 10 years? Like it is now, with lots of open green space.
Public transportation.
Have good public transportation.
Well, once again, I'd like to see I-97 widened. I'd like that to be a super highway so that people who want to get to Annapolis or Baltimore, vice versa, don't hesitate to use that road. And that exempts exits and ramps, and it's just a nice road with a lot of lanes, and people are actually
Non-stop going. They encourage you to use it non-stop from Annapolis to Baltimore.
Keeping Crownsville autonomy.
No getting off.
I'm kind of echoing this gentleman over here. I would like to see them maintain, basically they said the General's Highway would have a historic flavor to it, and I'd like to see it stay that way.
This young lady has not said anything yet.
In my hometown, back in New Jersey, they have these signs all around that say, I have a picture of it on my phone, I wish I could put it up here, like 25 more acres saved from development. They have an open space thing where they buy it, and all around, tucked around the whole neighborhood, or the township, there might be 7 acres, 13 acres, whatever, but there's a big space, and it's showing that that they take some of the tax dollars, and they have this open space funding. So I think that would be awesome.
And so that you know that there is a program, and we just received some information last night through the agricultural resource, she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what we're looking to do is to save open space with easements. There is, and some of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not, but there is a forest conservation, which is required as part of a development, proposed development, and they may pay a fee in lieu of for planting, because a lot of times you can't replant, and those dollars are being used through county and state programs to purchase land and put it into permanent easements and save the land from development. And that is done in conjunction with the county, as well as with a private partnership from Severn River Land Trust, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and different things. So that's a good way that some of the money is being used. But it's a really good idea to make it more public and to make it known that all this is happening.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see it, and it's passive green space. It's not always gonna be a big park. It might be a little, 8-acre space, but it still is important and safe. I have one other quick thing that I wanted to add, because it's on topic, but I've always wondered why on Route 3, with all the development, the medians are so terrible, and why can't some of the developers actually do something pretty in the medians, because they all look like, they're just a bunch of weeds.
That's a good idea. No, it's a very good idea. So I thought I had one here. Yes, sir.
This is more of a dovetail into preservation of the area. General's Highway, as we know, is a historic scenic highway. It is considered the roadway function on the map, located on the GIS survey resource in there, that it's a principal arterial road, which is one of the only county roads of its nature that's in bright red. So my point is we have to preserve this community. We have to do something with 97, and everybody in this area from 3 down to Cascade is pretty much considered low density residential. So I advocate that we retain that in any way, shape, or form. We've got a very sensitive, unique green space, and the fact that we have a historic road that is noted by the county as being a principal arterial road just adds to our traffic. So the point is, no more commercial residential or residential development should be allocated in our corridor.
I'm just gonna add 2 things. One, I would like to see fewer people traveling by car, especially single occupancy car. And I would like to see the Crownsville State Hospital Center in a permanent new state agreed upon by the community.
It'd be a permanent state when you say right, not owned by the state, but not to
no longer in limbo.
be in a permanent state.
I'd like to see the area be cleaner, like the roadways be cleaner of trash, and also that the decisions that are made, which you're trying to do tonight, are all about the residents and the house values going up.
Keeping your property values. Do any of you participate in Adopt a Highway? We have 2 people in the back that do, or 3 people that do, 4 people that do. So there's 4 people right here that can share information about the program to adopt a highway and keep it clean. It's an all volunteer basis. You get support from the state. You get vests, and they'll come and pick up all the trash bags for you. You get a sign that gives you PR. It's a great program, so I encourage you to do that, and you can do that on state highways. So that's a good way to be able to do that. Okay, so in what you would like to see Crownsville look like in 10 years?
Okay, all I'm saying is because the same thing applies from General's Highway, which I agree. General's Highway forms a nice big wedge with Severn Chapel, Waterbury, and Millersville, which is not, it's an historic road, and they forgot to inventory that as an historic road, but it is one, if you go back. So that particular area is a nice big triangle of that green space between Overton, Crofton, and Annapolis. I'd like to see all of that maintained in its heritage.
And as far as zoning, it's all green, it's currently green open space now. There's no development on it. And what you'd like to see is that it continues to be that way.
Where did you say this in between Odenton? Little pieces are taken.
Where did you say between Odenton and?
Oh, you have a greenway between Overton and Crofton and Annapolis, and we are part of that. With that big wedge of green, which is residential, we want to see that maintained.
I'm sorry, I thought you were specific roads that you were referring
Those
to.
roads are the
Okay, those specific roads are Waterbury.
Morrisville, Jefferson Highway, and Severn Chapel.
There you go.
And at Severn Chapel becomes St. Stephen's Church, which we all know about. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see us tie into the educational and preservation of the historic elements in this area dating back to pre-colonial times. There's an awful lot of history right along this way that is lost.
And it's getting lost because
It's not recognized,
it's not registered as being historic or cultural. And so we need to work with the county to get it registered.
I forgot, you just brought something else I wanted to say. My biggest fear is what, not 10 years, but in 20 or 30 years, as administrations change, we need some legislative action in order to keep what we accomplish permanent and never have to worry for future generations to lose this land.
Well said. And I only did 10 years because some of us think in 10 years. So let's go 20 years. What would you like to see in 20 years for Crownsville?
It's me again. 2 points and then a comment. So it's going to be, I'm going to go 2, 10, and 20 year perspective to kind of align with the GDP as well. My point is we have small area maps that represent 16 to 17 fixed geographic areas. We have a very specific tax assessment map. We also have our council district map. They don't currently overline. I advocate that we reevaluate those a little more effectively. Excuse me, moving forward. But what I'd like to see is every 1 to 2 years a liaison, such as the community advisory committee person within each of those geographic locations, serve as a liaison to the district council representative within their geographic area, so that we can provide updated amendments, not every 10 or 20 years, but every 1 to 2 years. Have it go through the liaison to our communities, and then go through the council and be admitted as an active bill. Because if we wait every 20 years, things don't happen. So I advocate that this is not so much for Crownsville exclusively, but for the entire county.
Good idea. And you're right, they don't match. They don't add up. And there are county representatives, constituent services representatives through the county executive's office, and hopefully, and Lisa will be able to add to this maybe.
I really just wanted to add the school service area is another sort of out of alignment, the geographic boundaries of each
The schools,
feeder.
the feeder schools, as she's saying, doesn't line up either. And so, if we could line up the districts, the taxes, the schools, and your constituent services, we'd be in there.
I don't mean to detract from that excellent point. And this is probably something that's already been brought up as I came late. It was just, applying the best science to stormwater runoff. I'm sure that's already been brought up. So.
Stormwater has been brought up because we know that it is an issue, but you're right, the best practices need to be done. And we are in the process, the county is in the process. When I say we, it's not me, and I'm just a volunteer, I'm not a county employee at all. But they have recognized it, and that was an issue, particularly County Executive Mr. Pittman recognized, and so it is changing. But we need to keep the pressure on. And if you have things that you think are a problem, make sure you call inspections and permits. Does everybody know about 311? No? 311? It's an app. I encourage you to research it and do it, and I can tell you more about it afterwards, but it is how you can file things and have it so that you know that it's on record. So if you have a problem with the broken, well, usually that's it how, if you have a broken light, if you have any kind of problem, you can file that through 311 and it does get recorded. So, yes ma'am.
I've seen it described somewhere, it might be the older small area plan, that this area is kind of a green belt, a green buffer around Annapolis. And with Crownsville, I think what she was describing, Crownsville around Waterbury down St. Stephen's Church, it's
A greenway.
a greenway, a green sort of green belt around, a greenway around.
And you'd like to see it stay green?
Yes.
There you go. So we'd like to say it stay green. Okay. Oh, sorry, sir.
Along the same lines, you're seeing a lot of things like, I'll call it urban farming, going up in Baltimore. A lot of it is to try to bring types of produce closer to bigger cities. Well, we've got something right here. Trying to keep the green basically is finding ways to allow, I'll say, farming and the folks that use the land for that type of stuff to be able to make that a living out of that, as well as supplying to local, big cities that are around here. It becomes more of a win-win situation.
Definitely does. And hopefully you all will notice that the farmers markets are already open. And so we encourage you to buy local and to go to those farmers markets. So, am I missing anybody who's dying to say anything?
I'm not really repeating necessarily.
No, that's okay.
I would love to see an emphasis on greenway protection, so, animals and species have at least pathway to at least get.
Saving the open space.
Well, connected.
Connecting open space. Greenway corridors. Maybe we can say it like that. So, okay. Two other points that I want to make sure that you all know about. Like I said before, this is not your last opportunity to comment. And the staff will be here, so if you want to see me afterwards, you're more than welcome to have my ear. I'm more than happy to listen. The other thing is that's happening right now and goes into the general development plan, and we talked about it, is Move and Arundel, which is our transportational functional master plan. I got that right, that acronym. And it is posted online, www.aacounty.org. And you'll see a menu that has departments, and if you go under transportation, it'll be right there. There's 45 days for you to comment on what is planned in the Crownsville area. You can go by district, you can go by street, or highway, or roadway, or one thing or another. You can go by bus. You can look at what the proposed bus routes are going to be, what the proposed bicycle routes are going to be, and all this goes into the general development plan. So I highly encourage you to take a look at it and to please comment on it. So we encourage you to comment, I'm gonna say by June 16th, a month from today. You have 45 days, but that way you have a deadline. We encourage you to do that and pass it on, put it in your community newsletters, put it in your HOAs, put it in your school newsletters, whatever you can do. The same thing with all this information. A lot of people weren't able to be here tonight, but all this is available online. You can take the survey online, you can comment online. Everything that we did tonight, you can do online. So we appreciate that. Anything else I'm missing? I'm given the high sign, so I am off. And we appreciate you all coming out tonight. Thank you very much.